We haven't talked about Memphis in a while, so let's get it. The two individuals that you guys see on my screen, I got a little bit to say about them. But before we get into the details and talk about what they did to this beautiful angel right here, beautiful little eyes, man. I just don't get how you could be cruel to such a beautiful, look at that smile. That just warms my heart every time I see a baby smile. Any and all babies. Let me give you guys a disclaimer before we get into the details. Some viewers may find the following content offensive and controversial. The information in this video comes from multiple sources, including court records, official police charges, news web articles, and interviews. This video commentary also contains my personal opinions about the facts of this story. The point is to use this story as a cautionary tale in hopes of preventing tragedies like these to children going forward. Viewer discretion is advised. That is your official disclaimer. And I think about this all the time. I don't want people to tell me that children matter. I want them to show me that it matters. The advocacy matters, right? But look at this beautiful little baby. Memphis, Tennessee, y'all are taking a huge L here. 2 days after a 1-year-old was pronounced deceased after sustaining multiple injuries, the two people charged in her murder appeared in court. The judge told the pair that this could potentially be a death penalty case. This is really, really bad. A death penalty case if they are found guilty. They have been ordered back to court to inform the judge whether they can afford their attorney. Callie Moore was pronounced dead, which is the baby that you guys see right here. Beautiful little angel. Beautiful little angel. Was pronounced deceased early Saturday morning after doctors at Le Bonheur Children's Hospital said that she suffered from skull fractures, a brain bleed, and even blood in her lungs. The two people charged in her murder, her 21-year-old aunt, Kia Moore, 21 years old, which is this individual, and her 34-year-old boyfriend, Dejon Smith, Dejon. I think that's how you pronounce it, stood before a judge on Monday. Smith was up first, and after the judge read aloud the felony charges of first-degree murder, child abuse, and neglect before resetting the case to the following day. Next up was Moore, who was out on bond for child abuse charges. She is facing the same charges as Smith, so how was she able to get out of jail is beyond me. That's a little bit weird. Judge Karen Massey asked Moore's grandmother, Margaret Calicut, if they'd be hiring a lawyer. She responded that the family hadn't yet, but they planned to, and with that, her case was also reset. News Nation affiliate WREG spoke with Ms. Calicut outside of the court, who said that times are especially hard as she is fighting for her granddaughter while grieving the loss of her great-granddaughter. I think that's how they wrote that. I hope that's correct. Let me see. Let's skip that. Actually, I guess that's the last part of it. I'll go ahead and read what she said. The sad part is that I was the last one to hold Callie in my arms. When I got her, she was already limp, and so when we got to the hospital, I gave her to the nurses. So I was the last one to actually hold my baby in my arms. The grandmother was comforted by her husband, who said that she's struggling to understand exactly what happened. All I can say is what I've said. We will always love Callie, and we will always love Kia because we're a loving family. Let me say this. Even if it were my own daughter as an adult making an adult decision to bring a child into this world or to do this to my grandchild, there is no forgiveness and there is no I will always love you if you were to do this to another human baby. Depending on what they find in this case, depending on the results, will kind of be the determining factor as to how I end up feeling about this case. Let me give you guys the fair usage, and then we'll go from there. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. So if this is the aunt and the boyfriend, then of course y'all are asking the obvious question, where the hell is the biological mother and biological father? It's beyond me and why they had access. Do me a favor and please hit that thumbs up, leave a comment, and share this video. Let's get into a little bit more of the details.
Such a tragic story to begin our newscast this evening. 2 babysitters behind bars tonight accused of beating a 1-year-old girl to death. Thank you for joining us. I'm Joy Redmond.
And I'm Joe Birch, 21-year-old.
Y'all know how much I hate to hear babysitter, babysitter, babysitter. But these people aren't qualified caregivers. They're not qualified babysitters, family or not. Just because my aunt is my aunt don't mean I'm going to give my child to my aunt. If they're not a qualified caretaker or proven to be a qualified caretaker, you don't just give your child away to anybody. I think people got to stop doing that just because they think, oh, it's family or it's the cheap thing to do to get some free child care.
Kaya Moore and 34-year-old Dejan Smith are charged with first-degree murder.
Action News 5 Stephanie Douglas live now with details from their first court appearance. We do want to warn you, some of the details in this case are very disturbing. Stephanie.
Well, Joe and Joy, during today's court hearing, the judge granted the pair only a day to get an attorney. After the hearing, the great-grandparents of 1-year-old Callie Moore expressed how the past 3 days have been filled with endless agony.
We saw our great-grandbaby die.
Yeah, we were here.
And we recognize how hurt our granddaughter is about it.
The great-grandparents of 1-year-old Callie Moore, who died Saturday, were overwhelmed with grief at this violent loss, but even more stunned at who Memphis police say are suspects.
We've never had to deal with a situation like this, so we don't really know.
Callie's aunt, 21-year-old Kaya Moore, and her boyfriend, 34-year-old Dejan Smith, were arrested for her death and appeared in Shelby County Court Monday. They're both charged with first-degree murder, aggravated child abuse, and aggravated child neglect. According to court documents, the two were babysitting Callie for 2 days at this Midtown home on University Street. Callie was rushed to Le Bonheur Children's Hospital Saturday around 3 a.m.
And I want to warn y'all, I think one of these videos is actually going to give more of the details about what they did. So just brace yourselves for that.
After being unresponsive and receiving multiple injuries, both Smith and Moore gave police conflicting statements on how she got hurt.
The mother's the one that really took it hard. She couldn't take it, so my mom took her home.
According to a doctor at Le Bonheur, baby Callie had multiple skull and neck fractures, a bruised kidney consistent with abdominal trauma, and blood in her lungs. Police also noted that there was no baby food in the home, and it's unclear if the baby had a suitable or safe place to sleep. Despite hearing the heartbreaking allegations against Kaya Moore, her family says there's one thing that will not change.
All I can say is what I've said. We will always love Callie, and we will always love Kaya, because we are a loving,
It's very tough.
family.
Well, Action News 5 discovered that
And you could tell they old school too, man. I know that hurts them. I know that hurts them to the core.
21-year-old Kaya Moore was out on bond after she was indicted on separate aggravated child abuse charges in 2022. She's
Whoa, you hear that? Separate child abuse charges in 2022. And y'all still let them watch the kids?
was out on bond after she was indicted on separate aggravated child abuse charges in 2022. She's expected
They can't tell me they didn't know about that.
to appear on those charges on August 29th. Reporting live from
They can't tell me. So that's today, actually. Depending on when you're watching this video, today is technically August 29th on a Friday. Or excuse me, not Friday, but Thursday. Wow. And they still let her watch the kid.
And a big story we're following tonight. A 1-year-old is dead. 2 people are facing murder charges in connection to that little one's death. 21-year-old Kia Moore and 34-year-old Dijon Smith are accused in the crime. WREG's Kwame Wilborn has what investigators say caused the child's death. And we do want to warn you tonight, the details in this case are disturbing.
21-year-old Kia Moore and 34-year-old Dijon Smith are facing child abuse and first-degree murder charges in connection to the death of a 1-year-old baby girl. Memphis police say around 3 a.m. Saturday morning, they responded to Le Bonheur Children's Hospital for a call regarding an infant who arrived suffering from cardiac arrest. The baby died 1 hour later. MPD says an examination by a doctor reveals the fatal injuries include multiple skull fractures with a brain bleed, a bruised kidney, high enzymes in the liver consistent with abdominal trauma, and blood in the lungs. Police say the incident happened at this duplex in the 1000 block of University Street.
Court documents say the two had been babysitting the infant for about 2 days prior to it being taken to the hospital. However, people who live in this area that we spoke to tell us that they never saw or heard a baby during that time.
Did you hear a baby cry? I ain't hear no baby cry.
Upon arrival, police say there was no baby food in the home, and it's unclear if the 1-year-old had an appropriate or safe place to sleep. At this time, it's unclear how the child is related to the suspects. Both Moore and Smith were detained, but investigators say they gave conflicting statements. Moore claims she left the baby alone with Smith, and when she returned, the baby was unresponsive. She says Smith refused to tell her what happened and instead allegedly told her to say that she fell asleep holding the child when the child fell off the bed and hit her head on the nightstand. It's a story people who live near the couple find shocking, since they say Smith has children of his own.
And his son, like I say, he got a son just started kindergarten.
Smith reportedly told a very different story. He claims that he heard the baby crying in the back room and Moore yelling at her. Court documents say he told investigators that he could hear Moore slam the child against the floor, walls, and wooden furniture 6 to 10 times. He said when he entered the room, Moore told him the baby was crying too much and getting on her nerves.
Y'all hear how different those stories are? And something just tells me that last story about him hearing her slam that baby seems like it might actually make more sense than a baby falling off a nightstand. Wow. Unbelievable.
We spoke to one neighbor who lives next to the couple, and she says she never heard anything.
And then you really can't hear too much through the walls. Not too much. You know, you have to be extra loud to really hear something.
Smith said he attempted to perform CPR and put cold water on the infant, but she was still unresponsive. He said Moore told him that the baby fell off the bed and hit her head on the nightstand. Neighbors say they are heartbroken for the baby's family.
Memphis, okay, this is Memphis. Memphis is rough, Memphis is tough, but we ain't that tough to hurt kids.
Hear anybody being killed is awful. Yeah. Whether it's a baby or a 90-year-old, don't matter. Life is a life.
Reporting for your news leader, Kwame Wilborn, WREG News, Channel 3.
A troubling case there, and both suspects are due in court tomorrow morning.
Tonight, we're looking deeper into the history of a couple accused of killing a one-year-old girl. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Stephanie Skurlock.
And I'm Greg Hurst. Memphis police say 21-year-old Kaya Moore and 34-year-old Dijon Smith were babysitting little Kayla Moore when she suffered fatal injuries, including a skull and neck fracture. And we now know both have been arrested in the past, accused of crimes involving children. Here's WREG's Shay Arthur.
Tonight, the great-grandparents of one-year-old Callie Moore are left heartbroken, shocked by the loss of the little one's life.
We've never had to deal with a situation like this, so we don't really know how.
By knowing that we depend on the Lord.
Now left to grapple with the fallout following the arrests of their granddaughter, Kia Moore, they say is Callie's aunt, and Kia's boyfriend, Dijon Smith. The couple gives different accounts about what happened to the little girl left in their care over the weekend. Kia told police she left the child with Dijon, and when she returned home, she discovered the one-year-old unresponsive. While Dijon told investigators he heard Kia slam the baby 6 to 10 times against the floor, walls, and wooden furniture. He claims she told him the child was crying too much and getting on her nerves. WREG did some digging, discovering Kia was indicted 2 years ago.
And this is the part that makes me believe that the boyfriend might not have been lying, because she already had indictment charges against her prior. Please remember that. She already had charges prior back in 2022 for child abuse and neglect.
August of 2022 for multiple counts of child abuse and child neglect. The details of the case are not clear, but the indictment says in February of 2022, she treated a child 8 years or younger in such a manner as to inflict injury, the abuse resulting in serious bodily injury. Court records show that case has been reset multiple times. She's supposed to appear before a judge on that incident later this month. Other records show Dijon has been arrested as well. In 2022, police say he fired shots at a car while children were present. Court records suggest he was angry because the mother of his child came to pick up her son with her new boyfriend present. It appears he took a plea deal in that case. For your news leader, Shay Arthur, WREG News Channel 3.
I can tell you we did reach out to the district attorney's office for more about Kaya's indictment and to ask why the case has been reset so many times. We'll let you know when we hear back.
So again, please remember that this woman already has a pending case for multiple child abuse charges. So it would not be far-fetched at all to find out that what the boyfriend actually said was true. And they're both facing the death penalty. And I just pray that the truth will prevail. And if he didn't do anything, then I just want to know what the truth is. So we hope to just get justice and true justice, and that the truth will come out. But with her already having previous charges, it does not look good. So to that baby, RIP. We'll have to do an update on this story because it's very, very important that we find out what the truth is and what the final ruling ends up being. But I truly, truly hope they get this right so that we're not throwing away a life potentially in the death penalty or a life sentence for no reason. Such a beautiful little angel, beautiful little baby.